Welcome to the module on working with Karen refugee youth and families. This module will provide a brief overview of the history and culture of Karen refugees living in Minnesota. It will review their history of trauma and its effect on their mental health. It will also offer recommendations for addressing these needs while working with Karen families. Part 1 will discuss recent refugee arrivals to Minnesota. In Part 2, a Karen leader will review the history of the Karen Revolution. Part 3 will discuss the effects of the refugee experience. And Parts 4 and 5 will provide basic cultural information and recommendations for practice with Karen families. Part 1. Refugees in Minnesota. Many immigrants arrive to the United States with refugee status. Refugee status is granted prior to coming to the United States. There are a number of resettlement organizations that help arriving refugees with obtaining housing, job training, work, and access to medical services. After a number of years, these families can apply for permanent residency and citizenship. They can also legally apply to bring family members to the United States. Please take a moment to read the definition of a refugee. Primary refugee arrivals to Minnesota in 2009 continue to reflect the increasing diversity of Minnesota communities, with new arrivals representing nearly 25 countries around the globe. Many of these refugees are coming from civil conflicts and wars that have raged for decades, disrupting the lives of several generations. Children coming from such war-torn areas may have never known normal village life. There are websites listed at the end of the presentation where you can learn more about the cultural and political backgrounds of many of these refugees. Refugee arrivals to Minnesota largely settle in the Twin Cities area and surrounding suburbs. However, in viewing the map, you can see that some refugees migrate to rural areas in Minnesota where they find employment in local factories and community industries. Communities that receive a rapid influx of refugees face many challenges as they respond to the unique health, social service, and educational needs of such families. In addition to primary migration, once refugees resettle, they tend to be highly mobile for several years. They may follow jobs to other locations or relocate to be closer to family. In 2009, 1,268 refugees from more than 20 different countries resettled in Minnesota. Recent refugees come mainly from several different ethnic groups: the Karen from Burma, the Bhutanese, the Somalis, the Iraqis, and Oromos from Ethiopia. Some refugees have experienced severe forms of war trauma, including torture, rape, witnessing the murder of family members, and imprisonment. Some refugees have spent years in refugee camps, where there is often little or no access to employment, education, clean water, or adequate nutrition. Studies indicate that refugee trauma survivors report higher rates of post-traumatic stress disorder and major depression. Over 33% of refugees resettled to Minnesota are under the age of 14. This means they are part of our school system and will be part of our community for many years. We have a great opportunity to help them learn and achieve and become contributing members of our community. However, they face many challenges in our school systems. For example, children coming from the countries listed above may have never attended school with any consistency at all. They are likely to be performing below grade level, and they may require a period of orientation to normal school day activities. Child refugees also bring many strengths with them, as they are survivors of the hardships of war. Part 2 will briefly discuss the political history of Karen refugees. Burma, with an estimated population of 54 million, is ruled by a highly authoritarian military regime dominated by the majority ethnic Burman group. Military officers wield the ultimate authority at each level of government. In 1990, pro-democracy parties won more than 80% of the seats in a general parliamentary election, but the regime continued to ignore the results. In May 2008, the regime held a referendum on its draft constitution and declared the constitution had been approved by 92% of voters, a figure no independent observer believed was valid. The Karen have been fighting for their independence from Burma since the 1940s. They have been forced out of their villages in Burma for several decades. Many now live in refugee camps located along the Thai-Burma border. Listen to Josiah Saw, a Karen community leader, discussing the history of the Karen Revolution.
Well, I don't get an accurate number as far as we estimate, approximately between 4,500 to 4,000 to 4,000 to 4,500. We anticipate the end of 2010 going to be increased up to 5,000 Karen people. About Karen Revolution, I would like to describe just brief background. The Karen are very loyal to British government on before the Burma got the independence. The Burma got independence in 1949. 1948, the Karen Revolution started in 1949. The Karen and Burmese had the conflict before the Second World War. The reason is Karen people are very educated and very loyal to British government, and also Karen are the first ethnic minority who converted to the Christian. The Karen received the gospel through American Baptist over 100 years ago. And after the Karen became converted to Christian, the conflict started between the Burmese and Karen because of the Burmese people would like to dominate the Karen as the Burman. But Karen never accepted for that. Karen have their own literature, culture, and other social, diverse. So we Karen are very proud to be as the Karen, and the revolution started on 1949. Karen fighting for democracy and freedom to get a separate state. But the Burma is really with the military and socialist government since they got the independence in 1949. So the civil war going through over 60 years in Burma.
The Burmese regime continues to abridge the right of citizens to change their government and has committed severe human rights abuses. Government security forces have committed extrajudicial killings, disappearances, rape, and torture. The government detains civic activists independently and without charges. The army continues its attack on ethnic minority villagers, such as the Karen. Violence and societal discrimination against women continued, as did recruitment of child soldiers, discrimination against ethnic minorities, and trafficking in persons, particularly women and girls. Forced labor, including that of children, has also persisted. The government has taken no significant actions to prosecute or punish those responsible for human rights abuses. According to a 2001 study of nearly 500 Karen conducted by the Center for Disease Control, the Burmese have endured significant traumas, including hiding in the jungle, forced relocation, lost property and destruction of houses and crops. Women and men both have reported being raped, and other traumas have included forced labor, missing family members, and witnessing death of family and friends. These same refugees reported prevalence rates of 42% for anxiety and 41% for depression. Minnesota is also receiving Burmese political prisoners as refugees. In one study of 104 Burmese prisoners, 38% reported being tortured, with 38% showing elevated scores for depression. 23% of these prisoners met criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. Part 3 will review the effects of the refugee experience on the Karen. The University of Minnesota is collaborating with researchers at the Center for Victims of Torture and the Minnesota Department of Health to conduct focus groups with newly arriving refugees to better understand their mental health needs toward the goal of developing culturally appropriate mental health services. This initial research project has been funded by the Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation of Minnesota. We asked Karen refugees to describe the impact of living as refugees in their own words. We also asked them how professionals can interview refugees to be most effective at providing services. We interviewed refugees across the lifespan to better understand the unique needs of adults and children. Most of the Karen have lived in refugee camps for more than 10 years. Some children have lived their entire lives in refugee camps. The Karen are one of 7 ethnic minority groups in Burma and have been severely persecuted by the military government since the late 1980s. The Karen seek independence from Burma, but have been persecuted by the military government since the pro-democracy demonstrations of 1988. Many Karen flee persecution and death by journeying for weeks through the jungle to cross the border into Thailand and live in refugee camps. Approximately 150,000 Karen live in Thai refugee camps. The Karen in Burma have faced ethnic conflict, ethnic cleansing, forced labor, food insecurity, forced displacement, widespread landmines, and rape and torture. An estimated 50,000 Karen refugees live in the United States, and about 4,500 live in Minnesota, with a population that is increasing each year. Karen refugees described enduring atrocities prior to arriving at the camps. The Karen also described enduring many atrocities while living in camps due to the lack of security. These include witnessing camps being burned down, experiencing sexual assault, witnessing family members being killed, and living with ongoing family problems such as domestic violence and substance abuse. The Karen in Minnesota described symptoms of trauma that they experienced or have been experiencing, including symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. The youth described a sense of hopelessness that they struggled with while living in the camps, as they didn't expect to have a future for themselves. Some young people described their tendency to keep their feelings inside to protect their parents, who they described as suffering enough. Karen youth in the focus groups described that they felt responsible for finding a job and supporting their families in the United States, as well as finishing their own education. Worries about jobs or health insurance constantly haunt youth. The stress causes at times physical symptoms, including headaches and stomach aches. The Karen youth and adults also shared strong feelings about being the victims of racial conflict and violence in their local communities, being mistaken for members of gangs, and having difficulty calling the police when English language skills are limited. The Karen also identified domestic violence and substance abuse as ongoing issues related to the stresses of their life as refugees. Youth report doing better when parents communicate with them about their fears. Counseling that youth experienced in the camp was cited as helpful to them. These focus groups were the first time for the communities to share their experience, and they reported that it was helpful and they expressed a desire for more group meetings and sharing. Parents, family, religion, community, education, and a sense of giving back are all important values to youth, and they tended to act as protective factors from their perspective. The youth also expressed great hope about starting a future in the United States. Part 4 of this module provides useful cultural information about the Karen culture. The Karen do not consider themselves Burmese and experience a cultural rift with the Burmese, including Burmese who have immigrated to the United States. Along with the country's other ethnic minorities, the Karen do not use the government-instated name Myanmar, but rather call their country Burma. The name Myanmar has ethnic overtones, implying ethnic Burmese superiority. 95% of Karen refugees in Minnesota are Christian, although traditionally 60 to 70% of Karen are Buddhist. Minnesota is also home to Buddhist Karen refugees. There are two distinct Karen language groups which differ in pronunciation, the Sago Karen and Po Karen. Karen do not traditionally have family names or last names. Rather, they are seen as individuals, and one name has no relation to others in the family. They do not address each other by name, but rather by terms denoting a kinship relationship. For example, brother, sister, or grandmother. This creates problems in Western culture, and generally the individual's second name becomes their last name. Family homes are cross-generational. The average family has 3 children. Female children are prized as much as male children, and the family goal is to have a balance in the number of children of each gender. There is a high degree of equality between men and women traditionally, especially in farming communities, where women control the family budget. The eldest child is considered responsible for their parents until the parents' death. Karen people do not look you in the eyes when they greet you. This is considered a sign of respect. In addition, being happy and safe are considered related to community and family connections. Broken connections due to war thus lead to a broken sense of individual well-being. This slide contains information about interviewing Karen refugees. In general, cultural leaders recommend that social workers ask about family and mental health problems directly. Without asking, Karen will not offer their concerns or symptoms.
First of all, I would like to address Western people should understand that if you mention about Karen refugees from Burma, many of them they understand the Burmese refugees, but Karen Karen don't like that. They are Burmese refugees. They want to represent that they are Karen refugees from Burma. So sometimes people say, oh, Burmese refugees, okay, but they are not Burmese. They are Karen. So the Karen ones said, oh, we are Karen refugees from Burma. So this is kind of like to clear first. The second is like to work with the Karen family is easy. We don't have any cultural restriction, like other ethnic. To dealing with the Karen is just like you can visit them, you can have the relationship freely, no division, no others. But the thing is, Karen family, I would say people are respect the elder, older than, like for example, like children cannot call who older than us, they cannot call their name directly. For example, like Patty, the Karen children cannot call you like, hey Patty, no. We in Korean culture we don't have this kind of addressing, because for example like the kid we call somebody name, maybe they will put the title uncle, aunt, brother, grandpa, grandma, something like that. So in the Korean culture this is a daily use conversation that we are maintaining for that. The other thing is the family side is majority we have 7. Some families are just 4. Yeah, this is the majority number of the Korean families. For the education and health is Korean, the following with the refugee resettlement, right? You know, we check the statistics. The majority Korean are very under the education, under the I would say high school or college level, because just only a few are attending college and then high school. So they don't speak much English. They are very, you know, struggling with the language in United States. So we encourage them to learn more, and also the culture, like the kids and parents are a little bit different, because the old generation are mostly they don't speak much English, but the young generation they try to learn, and we encourage them to go to school and learning and to get a good education in here in this country. The social services, the Korean who has been here, you know, the first time when you arrive, you are struggling with so many culture, I mean the culture and others, you know. So it's hard for them to adjust there in the first few months. Yeah. The first time, okay, when you meet the family, they can look at just a few seconds after that, they will maybe look outside, you know. So,
and when they look away, is that a sign of respect?
It is a sign of respect, you, because a little bit different like here, and in Burma and in Korean territory, when you look, it's kind of disrespect. But when you look down, you know, it's kind of you respect people. So, but here we try to encourage hey, where American culture is different. When you touch somebody, you shake and look their eyes. Yes. Yeah, this is happening not just on the stranger, not just on the other ethnic, just among the Korean also. Sometimes, if you don't know one another, you ask some information, they don't share you, but you need to make very trust and friendship with them closely, and after that they will sharing what they are feeling, what they are facing, what is their challenging. Yes. Mm-hmm. For example, like I'm social worker, was working with the counselor teacher for the case manager, right. And a lot of Korean family. Some family are they got trouble from bed in the camp and here. They didn't tell you right away, but you need to make friendship and make trust to you, and after that they were sharing what their problem. Some of them they have the like children issue, you know, some different, a lot of issues series. The thing is they don't, and the families they don't know how to describe the problem, that the medical problem for their child, the individual. So this is a very important way that the doctor, the American doctor or clinic should ask what problem you are facing, what going on, because sometimes they don't open. Like the mother told me, I did mention earlier.
Yeah.
I took my kids to the clinic, but the doctor gave only for the
fear.
The fear. So the fever is down, but still cough. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean that she didn't open to tell all the problem, or I don't know what is going on. But I will assume that, you should, if myself, I say, but my kid's fever, my kid's cough, my kid's diarrhea, so how you can, you know. Yeah. So this is the main thing that I think a little bit misinformation between patient and doctors.
That's like that.
The Korean culture, as I already told earlier, they're very quiet. If people don't ask them, they don't respond. So, for example, like you go to see the physician doctors. The physician doctor asks you, you got trouble, you got some problem. If they ask you one question, they will answer one question. So not like the others. Okay, it is based on the family experience too. Because some families are so quiet, some families, okay, maybe a little bit more active. But majority is Korean quiet. You don't answer before you ask. They don't answer before you ask the question. So if you ask the question, they will answer you. But if you ask more, they will answer you one by one. It's different than others.
Okay. Part 5 includes specific recommendations for child welfare workers. Here are some general recommendations for child welfare workers who are interviewing the Karen. Based on their political history of trauma, social workers should inquire directly about individual histories of trauma and related mental health symptoms. Refugees should be informed that trauma-related symptoms are normal reactions to overwhelming stress and that those symptoms are treatable. Refugees recommend that you ask not just about their past, but also about their hopes and dreams for their futures. In addition, the youth discuss their concerns that domestic violence be addressed in a way that safeguards the children and their relationship to family. Here are some organizations to contact for further assistance with working in the Karen community.